You want to jump in and just tell us your story?
Yeah, absolutely. And the key to it was a praying mother. And Mum was the only believer in our family. Unfortunately, for most of our family, we had just drifted away, and religion had kind of just been pushed to one side. But Mother kept praying, and I decided to travel. And from 1980 to 82, I'd seen a movie called Endless Summer, some Californian kids surfing all around the world, missing winter. And I thought, that's it. I'm sick of wetsuits, cold weather. So I took off, surfed to Australia, Bali, Sri Lanka, Mauritius, went back down to South Africa, surfed along the Jeffreys Bay. And my brother wrote to me, he said, will you come home for my wedding? And I said, absolutely. So I flew back to Reunion Island, Mauritius, and I was living with the local Creole fishermen. These were kind of Rastafarian, Bob Marley, don't worry, be happy, guys. And I was night diving for lobster, and I was stung by 5-box jellyfish. The French call it invisible or invisible one. And the Creole fishermen saw that I'd been hit 5 times. My arm was blistered,
Man,
double its normal size. And they said, un invisible, c'est fini, pardon, c'est fini, that one of them would kill me. And they said, allez, vitement, quatre-moi hospital. So in French, they're telling me to get to the hospital. I'm in the outer reef in a place called Rivière Noire. They told me to urinate on my arm. I hit the beach, collapsed. The young kid helped me up, and I got onto the main road. And then he was frightened because one of his brothers was back at the reef, and he thought they'd be killed too.
Oh, man.
So here I am. This jellyfish, had I been hit in the throat, I'd have been dead within 2 or 3 minutes. But because I was hit on the arm, you often have 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes before you die. And so I felt incredibly tired because I've been hit so many, and began to lie down. And next minute, I hear this audible voice say, son, if you close your eyes, you will never awake again. I turned and I went, who on earth was that? And I looked around, no one. Had no idea this was God speaking to me. I wasn't a believer. I was a complete heathen, a million miles away from God. But thank God he speaks to the lost sheep. Thank God he loves people even when they're a million miles away.
Wow.
If you close your eyes, you'll never awake again. So I stood up and saw a petrol station, gas station, hobbled down. They thought I was drunk. I showed them my arm, said I was dying. I needed to get to the hospital. I said, can you take me there? And they said, well, how much money will you pay us? I said, look, $50, $100. And they said, well, then show me the money. And I said, well, they don't have it on me. I've been diving on the reef. And they walked away.
Oh, man.
For goodness sake. And then I heard this voice, second time, as if he was standing behind me, said, son, are you willing to beg for your life? I thought, beg for your life. I looked and turned around to literally talk to him, and there was no one there. I thought, well, that's a brilliant idea. I'm sure these Indian taxi drivers have never seen a white man begging. So I fell to my knees, cupped my hands, and begged for my life. 2 of them walked away. The third one, fortunately, helped me to his taxi. And I thanked him as we were racing towards the hospital. Then he said, well, what's your hotel? Where's your hotel room? How I get my money? I'm thinking, mate, just get me to the hospital. And yeah. I said, I don't stay in a hotel. I live with a fisherman in Tamarin Bay, the Creole. He said, oh, you lie. You tourist, you stay hotel. I said, I'm thinking, just keep going. Yeah. And he said, no, I take you no further. So he stops in front of the hotel in the village where I live, a small Chinese hotel on the beachfront, and said, get out. And I tried, but by this stage, the paralysis, because this is a neurotoxin, one of the deadliest venoms known to man, 100 times more lethal than a cobra. My arm is gone, my 2 legs are gone, I can't walk. I said, I can't get out of your taxi. So he leans over, opens the door, and pushes me out.
Oh, man.
And what the heck? And then he drives off and leaves me on the ground for dead. I look up, and fortunately, security guards had seen the taxi, and one of them was a close friend of mine, Danielle. He runs over, and he sees my arm and realizes what's happened. I've been stung by this deadly jellyfish. He grabs me, carries me in. The Chinese owner are playing mahjong and drinking their whiskey or something. And they said, are you drunk? I said, no. And I showed them my arm. And one of them stood up and thought I'd put heroin. He said, oh, you silly boy, why you put needle in the arm? Because the marks from the jellyfish could have, from a distance, looked as though I'd been a heroin addict. And I said, this is not heroin, this is a jellyfish. And they just returned back to their game. Next minute,
Unbelievable, man.
oh, yeah, I'm having a rough night, trust me. And my body starts to go into the death rattles. I'm shaking profusely in front of them. And they run over and try and restrain me. And I stop shaking. I go icy cold in the depth of my bone marrow. I feel necrosis, a terrible icy cold sensation. And I said, please, blankets. And then I plead with one of them, please take me in your Mercedes, your car in the car park. And he put his hand on my shoulder and said, no, we wait for ambulance. Don't worry, white man. Oh, I felt like hitting him. So I was just about to smack him. And I heard this voice a third time. He said, son, if you hit him, the neurotoxin so close to your heart, the adrenaline rush will kill you. And so I thought, that's true. I'm most likely so close to death. If I get angry and hit him, it could cause instant death. I'd done veterinary science at university, and so I looked away, controlling my anger. And to my amazement, an ambulance flew into the car park. My friend Danielle had rung his hospital, and he carried me, got me into the ambulance. As we're racing there, I literally see what appears to be like a video clip of This Is Your Life, small young boy, and then my age. And I thought, this happens before you die. I thought, if I die, is there life after death, or is there nothing? I thought, well, I'm an atheist. I believe there's nothing there. And I thought, well, I'll find out if there's life after death in a moment. Next minute, I see my mother appear on her knees praying like this right in front of me. I had no idea. Other side of the world, my mother had seen my face. God had spoken to her and said, your eldest son, Ian, is nearly dead. Pray for him now. Well, thank God. My mother heard the voice of God, and I talked to her later, and actually she said exactly that, son. I began to pray at that moment. And thank God, time and space doesn't stop prayers.
Yeah.
Here, God could project my mum praying for me in her bedroom with my dad quite confused what's happening. And seeing her saying, Ian, no matter how far from God you are, no matter what you've done wrong in your life, if you call out to God from your heart, God will hear you and God will forgive you. I said, but mother, I don't believe, and I've committed so many sins. It'll be too late to ask God's forgiveness. I'll be an absolute hypocrite having denied his existence. My mother kept saying, pray, Ian, pray from your heart. And I thought, well, what would you pray and who to? There's so many gods to choose from. I said, show me your face and I will pray. As I lay there, the only face appeared was mother. I thought, well, mum's a Christian. She believes in Jesus. Could it be Jesus? Could he truly be the real living God? And I said, well, God, if you're there, help me to pray. Next minute, the entire Lord's Prayer appeared in front of me.
Really? Did you know the Lord's Prayer at all before that?
Of course, my mother had taught it to me as a little child, but the key words that came out were, forgive us our sins. And I said, well, God, how could I say these simple words and all my sins be forgiven? I said, but if you can, please forgive me all of my sins. Fresh words came up. Forgive those who have sinned against you. I thought, well, I can do that. I'm not revengeful by nature. And as I said that, the face of the Indian taxi driver appeared in front of me.
Oh, my.
I heard the audible voice of God say, will you forgive this man for pushing you out of his taxi tonight and leaving you for dead? I thought, no, look what he did. Why the... A few beeps. And then next minute, the Chinese hotel owner appeared. And then the Lord's, this voice said, will you forgive this man for not taking his car tonight? I said, I had plans with him. This forgiveness was not on the top of the list. And then I lay there and I thought, that could be God. I've heard him on the beach. Is that God speaking through this Lord's Prayer? I've never heard his voice. Oh, my goodness sake. I actually have to forgive people from my heart. And mate, they're the tip of the iceberg. I've got a fair few people on my hit list. So I
Yeah.
said, well, God, if you can forgive me all my sins, I will forgive these men. I'll never touch them. Anyone who's harmed and messed me up, I forgive them. Their
Wow.
faces disappeared. Fresh words came. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I thought, well, that means God's will. I thought, well, I've led my own life. It's like Frank Sinatra. I did it my way, my will, independent, self-sufficient, proud of it. So I lay there and said, well, God, I admit I'm wrong. I humble myself. I'll try and find out what you're doing in heaven and try and live that life here on earth all the days of my life. Sorry. God. And I felt just tears hit me. And the whole prayer came and I read it, finished praying, and it's like I'd never prayed that prayer before. I'd prayed it like a parrot, meaningless repetition. First time in my life, that prayer prayed from my heart, and peace entered me that hasn't left me in the past 43 years. Peace, not of this world. It flooded me. No one needed to say I was saved or that I'd found God. I'd found him here in a deathbed prayer. Hadn't seen him yet, but I'd heard his voice and I'd asked forgiveness. And thank God, those who call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. I thought, I wonder how many men just like me in their dying moments find the Lord. I said, well, you must be very careful not judging people because you don't know. They may have 1,000 people wish them dead, but only one praying mum. Guess
Oh,
who God's
man.
Guess who? But my mum couldn't save me. I had to pray. I had to call from my heart, and thank God in those moments I did. This extraordinary presence and peace flooded me. I'd never felt that kind of peace ever.